Thank you. I had my mic on mute. Thank you though. So, hello. Thank you so much for joining me on this impromptu live. I was doing some mixing paints rather than making paints this morning, and I thought it would actually be more interesting to do it as a live rather than a video, so that you can ask lots of questions and I can tell you all sorts of information that might make like a video a bit too long. So what I'm doing at the moment is, if you guys remember the Holbein, the retired Holbein colors, that video that I did a couple months back, I've put a link to that video in the description below already if you want to check that out later. And they retired these colors in 2011, and that video was so popular and so many people said they'd like to try it for themselves. So I was like, yeah, why not? And so what I'm doing today is making like bigger batches of these colors than I did in that video. And so I thought it'd be fun to do some. I've made 3 so far. I've made the violet grey, which is this color, big syringe of it. A viewer, and I went through my comments to try and figure out who it was that suggested it, so I'm really sorry that I couldn't find your name, but a viewer, when I said I was going to use like one of those empty tubes, that to trying to use a syringe, and I thought that was a really good idea, so that's what I've done. I filled the syringe ready to put into pans and stuff. And I've also made a big batch of the cobalt green yellow shade and a smaller batch of the compost green number 3. And the reason why they're in different sizes is because I want to create a half pan set of the violet green. Oop, I'm just going to put this to the side. Of the violet green, and you as well, the permanent green number 3, and the cobalt green yellow shade, which are the 3 Miyazaki colors that Miyazaki Hayao Kantoku like to use from Holbein, that were also retired, plus the compost green number 2, because that was also such a nice color as well, and I thought that would make a really nice fall half pan set. So they're going to be put into these tins, and then I'm going to be making the 4 set available in my shop that I will be opening this month. And also I am recreating the other 3 as well, the compost green number 3, the blue grey and Mars yellow. So for over on Patreon, I can make a dot card of all 7 colors that for the Patreon reward for this month. So if you sign up to Patreon on, I think it's $25 or more a month, you will receive before the 30th of June, then you will get one of these through the post, along with lots of other goodies like mini paintings as well. So I just need smaller batches of the extra 3 colors, whereas I need a lot bigger batch of the 4 colors I'm actually making sets from. So yeah, now that a few people are here, hi Himari, Paolo, Mino, Chris, Palmyra, Cyan, thank you so much for like showing up to this very impromptu live stream. Right, so I have so far made, I've messed this order up. So I've made the cobalt green, I've made the violet grey, and I've also made the compost green number 3, so that can be put aside. And if you want the details on how to mix all of the colors, like what proportions and stuff, these were so this recipe of what parts of what color are actually available on Holbein's Japanese website, their old website, not their new one, which is getting taken down, I think this month maybe. And what they did was they said, we're sorry, we're retiring these colors, but here's ways of making the same color or very similar to colors with the colors they still have available in their range. And so that is the recipe I'm following as well. And I'm also going to use a little bit of creative flair, so if I don't like exactly their color, but like adding a little bit, just a tiny bit of one or the other color makes it a nicer color, then I will do that, because there's no point in making ugly colors, right? So that's what we're going to do. And I think, which color would you like to see first? Compost green number 2, blue gray, Mars yellow, or permanent green number 3. I'm going to make all 4 because it doesn't take as long to make, like, mix these paints, because you're just mixing it, than it would to mull and actually make paints from scratch. So I can get through this quite quickly. So if you'd like to take a vote while I read the chat. Paolo is saying Otto's old shopping of paints. That would be wonderful. Hi Vivian. Hi Little Creative. Himari was saying that they took a double take because they were watching my previous video about the retired colors a few hours ago. Good timing. Vivian saying that I'm going to make her buy all the Holbeins. Only if they're a good price. Pamela saying I can just call her Pam. Cobalt Art saying, love this idea. I've been trying to recreate similar palette too. I will definitely jump to Patron this month. Thank you. Thank you so much. The compost green, permanent green. Okay, we have 3 votes so far. Any more? While I drink my healthy energy drink. I'm wondering if Eve's gonna make it today. Mawina, hello. So I think compost green is the first one to do. Oh, that's cool. Vivian saying that Holbein is more reasonable than, say, Schmincake there. Where are you, Vivian? Because that's quite rare, unless you're in Japan. Most people's complaint is that Holbein is just as expensive as their, you know, top brand watercolors that they can get. And yeah, it doesn't make sense to pay that money. Where's the best place to buy Holbein? Well, you know what I always say, Japan, because it's so cheap there. It's like 1/8 of the price of the UK. But basically, don't buy Holbein unless you can get a good deal on them, because they're not worth their like UK prices, where it's comparable to Daniel Smith or, like, you know, the top brands. I only use a lot of these because I can get them quite cheaply when I go to Japan. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to make compost green number 2. Yeah, I love this color too, and which is why even though it's not a Miyazaki color, I am putting it in the set, because I think it would be a shame to miss out on this color. Right, so compost green number 2 is made up of 3 parts compost green number 1, and viridian hue is 1 part. And so this, because this is going to the set, I want to end up with around about 50 to 60 milliliters. So I'm going to use 3 tubes of compost green with a dash of the Viridian Hue. Are we in focus? There we go. That's better, isn't it? So this has been the funnest bit, is pushing all the paint out of their tubes. So compost green number 1 is like a pretty pale pastel-y color. This is why I wanted to do a live stream, because this is just paint porn, isn't it? I'm gonna zoom in so you guys get a better view of it's happening. So that's 1 tube. Thank you for your service, dear paint. I have a carcass. I have a mountain of paint carcasses from this morning. I'll show you the whole lot when I've used all of them up. Yes, I'm going to pour out right now most of the paint. So I'm pouring out all the first 2 tubes, and then I'm going to pour out about 2/3 or half of the 3rd tube, and that's just so that if I go too much to the Viridian Hue side, then I can just I've got something to bring it back and make it a little bit lighter. And if it goes well, then I'll put the remainder in. Yeah, so I'm keeping some of that 3rd tube. Oh, Himari said they found the original permanent green number 3 at an art shop not so near my place. So I need 1 part of Viridian to compost green. Now, because Viridian Hue is much more highly tinting, it's a more intense color, I'm gonna start off like a little bit on the careful side and they add more rather than end up with too much in there. Yeah, it is a lot of paint. I want to end up with about 60 milliliters, 50, 60 milliliters. So yeah, it is a lot of paint. The first time I made the big batch of violet grey, I was like, oh my goodness, it's a lot of paint. And thankfully, because I used to I used to paint with acrylic paint. I was used to kind of mixing and smushing around a little bit larger batch, but not like this amount. So I was definitely freaking out. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to use all this paint, especially like not a quinacridone rose Daniel Smith kind of color. But I am hoping to make about 20 sets and also fill a lot of dot cards. So yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I'm starting to go off camera. There we go. I mean, this does look like a lot, but I know like Jane Brundell makes her Jane grain for herself and uses about the same amount of paint per, batch of mixing it for herself. I mean, she's obviously a painting teacher, so she goes through a lot of watercolors paint. But yeah, so it's not a completely wacky amount. What made Palm is asking what made me move from acrylic. Goodness me, I can't talk. Sorry. Let's start that one again. Palm is asking what made you move from acrylics to watercolors. There we go. What made me move from... I first started off painting acrylics on canvas, and I really, really loved doing that. But... Sorry, I'm thinking this is going to need a lot more Viridian, so I'm just going to put that in as well. But we live in a really, really small flat, or an apartment, as some of you might like to call it. And we just, like, because they're so thick, your flat just fill up with canvases from, the canvases that you painted, the canvases that you're going to paint, and the flat filled up very, very quickly. And obviously that wasn't very practical, living in a small flat in a relatively expensive to rent city. Edinburgh is not cheap for property. Edinburgh, I don't know what's happening to Edinburgh's property market, but it's just bonkers, I tell you, bonkers. And so I was like, yeah, it's nice, I really enjoy it, but not practical for my current living situation. And the thing about making art is you have to, like, make art within the situation you're in. So, for some people it's lack of funds, so some people make really creative art from recycled material or thrifted stuff. For me, it's the space. And I figured, well, if I move to paper, then that will save a lot of space, because I can paint lots and lots and not take up so much space, right? So I did that for a bit. I did actually a really long series called Fluent Serendipity, which was acrylic on paper, and you can check that out on my website. But I always had a set of watercolors ever since I started this art journey like a couple of years ago, and I just kept looking at it. And then in last October I did a challenge. I set myself a challenge to paint 10 paintings a day for a month, and not like big complicated paintings, but just quick paintings. And it's quite hard to do quick paintings in acrylic, but it's a lot easier, certainly for me, to do quick paintings in watercolor. So I did the whole challenge in watercolor, and I'm really glad I did, because I really got to know the medium of watercolor. And I find that all art, a lot of art is about color, but watercolor in particular to me is more about color. I don't know, it's really weird. There's no logical rhyme or reason for it, but to me, certainly the way I paint, I get to enjoy color even more in watercolor. And then, the watercolor community is a lot more into their colors, like the pigments, and trying lots of different brands. Whereas with acrylic, you tend to end up using just one brand, and that's it, and you don't really care that much about what color or what pigment is in it and stuff. And that really drew me in, but it was mainly the luminosity of watercolors that made me switch over, and also the fact that watercolor paints don't wreck your brushes like acrylic paint does. It's just a lot neater art form to me. So yeah, there's that. That was a really long-winded answer, wasn't it? How are we doing for mixes? Question. Oh no, I answered that. Genevieve is corner rounding swatch cards and apparently watching paint porn. Yes, welcome. I like to use corner punches. So what kind of corner punches do you use? I have a mega one. Can I show you? This one, and I'm not going to play with it because I really don't want to drop it in the paint, but this is a corner punch that does small, medium and large corners, and it's awesome. I love this thing. A Little Creative says Edinburgh is one of my favorite cities. Yeah, mine too. I am very, very grateful that I can live in a city that I love so much. And my husband and I went traveling around the world for about a year and a half, 2 years. We were on the road for a year and a half total because we spent a lot of time in Japan with my mom, which I don't include on like world traveling because to me that's just going back and seeing my mom. I know to everyone else it's like, oh my gosh, dream destination, but it's gonna need more Viridian, I think. But to me it's just going home and chilling out with my mom. And I think only people who live in a different country to their family, and especially in countries where people like would love to visit, you know, kind of countries where your home country is on their bucket list kind of thing, will understand how that feels. But yeah, we traveled for a year and a half on the road, and we went to all the cities that we really liked, but we still came home and it was like, yeah, Edinburgh's best. Edinburgh's totally, like, for us, it suited us the most, really. Would mulling the paint mix it faster? I don't think it'll mix it faster. And I can get this pretty even pretty fast. So this is just like chat and... But yeah, I mean, you could mull it. But that... I mean, when you mull things, you lose a lot more paint as well. Because obviously the paint goes onto the... I'm just gonna... Goes onto the muller and stuff. And so... And because these are all ready-made paints that have been... Where the pigment is already perfectly bound to the paint, it doesn't need to be mulled. It just needs to be mixing. What kind of punch is that? Okay, again, try not to drop this onto the paint, but it is the Kadomaru Pro. Wow, I just went full on Japanese there. It is Kadomaru Pro, and it's made by Sunstar. It's a Japanese thing, obviously, you know, of course. So I am being, this takes a little bit longer. Then I can make this faster, but because I want to get the color right, like the nice color, I am being cautious with how much green I put in. No, I can still do with more Viridian. Okay, that should do it. So, how's your Sunday? What you guys been up to? Or what will you be getting up to later? Because I guess it's morning in a lot of places. All I did today was this. Just mixing paints. And I think I take longer to do this just because I enjoy doing this. It's so relaxing to me. and I hope it's relaxing to you guys as well. And please don't feel you have to stay for the whole live stream. This was just, you know, I was doing this anyway, so I thought I'd just share it with you guys. You know, make it a nice chilled Sunday thing. So this is instead of my Monday video. So there'll be no Monday. No, there'll be no video from me tomorrow. Vivian says it's 9:30 in, I think it was Indonesia. Vivian says, got a question. Is there any Japanese food you miss when living in Edinburgh? Yes, everything. I miss the kombinis. And I miss kombini, the onigiri you can get in kombini, the bentos, a lot of packeted stuff I can either get from Japan Center in the UK, or my mum sends me a care package, so I can get her to send me some if I really miss it. But it's more the fresh food and the vegetables they have that I miss more than anything else. I really miss sweet potato, the Japanese sweet potato, not the British sweet potato where it's like not that sweet at all. How are we doing for, I'm gonna do a patch. Since question, Jacqueline asks, since you have experience in acrylics, oh, scrolling, come back chat. In acrylics, have you ever worked with Liquitex clear gesso? I used it for the first time yesterday and it's really gritty. Maybe someone else has experienced it. Well, if it's gesso, it's supposed to be gritty. I know that. So that it gives the surface more tooth. So, or do you mean like you've used other gesso before and it's grittier than the other ones you've tried? What do we think? A little bit darker? Like a shade, maybe? Yeah, like a shade. We're close guys, we're close. Oh my goodness, Artie Crafty Alchemy says it's 12:30 a.m. That's like past midnight, right? Here in Oz. So I will have to go to bed soon, haha, but I want to watch. Thank you so much for staying up late to watch. Yeah, I just wanted to like do like a really chilled live stream today instead of making a video. Because this is kind of like a relaxing chatty thing, isn't it? Rather than a instructional video kind of thing. La 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 la. So the reason why I'm adding some distilled water is just to make it easier, a little bit more liquid, to make it easier for it to go into the syringe later rather than anything else. So right now I'm just trying to get to the right shade, and then what we'll do is just give it a really good mix, and then we'll put it in a syringe and put it away. And then probably tomorrow, now that I'm not making a video for tomorrow, I will, ooh, that's a really blue on the camera. Let me just try to fix that for you guys. Which way do we go to get more green? No, sorry. Okay, that's as close as I can get. Yay, Eve! Hello! I'm glad you made it. Thank you. Sorry, it is an impromptu one. It's instead of tomorrow's video. I was recreating the retired Holbein colors, but in a much bigger batch, so that I can sell it as a set, and also make dot cards of all 7 of the colors as a Patron reward for this month. And then I thought it would be actually fun to do some live stream of this instead of just me talking to myself. Do you guys think that's pretty close? I really like the sound of the sprayer. How are you doing, Eve? So what do we think? Do we think that's close? It's really warm in here. I might have to open the window. Hold on. Oh, some fresh air. I think that's pretty close, so I'm just going to give it one good mix to make sure everything is nice and even. So yeah, this isn't a paint making video or live stream as much as a paint mixing. I wouldn't say this is making, but it's fun nonetheless, right? Oh no, don't worry, Eve. Like, honestly, that's why I didn't like message you or anything, because this is just an impromptu one. It's Sunday. But thank you so much for coming to the live stream. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna let that one dry. This one dry. But I mean, this is almost dry, and that's pretty close. So I'm quite happy with it so far. Yeah, so I am trying to make about 50 to 60 milliliters. And then I am going to fill the syringe I have, and then we can move on to the next one. And we'll just carry on until I either mix all 4 of the remaining colors, well 3 more now after this, or nobody, like everyone stops watching, or I get tired. So please don't feel that you have to stay for the whole thing. There's no plan other than mixing paints. Hey Jay, thank you so much for popping in. I wish you guys could come and have a go at mixing this, because it is fun. It's very good stress relief, I think. I think that's pretty good. How are we doing? I think the most important thing is whether we like this particular color or not. I'm liking it. It's nice. So I am going to put this into a syringe. I have a new syringe. I'm going to zoom you guys out. Oh yeah, Paolo, yeah, totally okay if you want to stay. Yeah, I'm not trying to get rid of you guys. I just don't want you guys to feel like you have to stay when I'm not like imparting lots of information or anything, or doing something particularly lively. So this is a syringe I'm going to put into. And I'm just going to tape this end first. Oh, I'm glad you guys are finding this relaxing. They is saying they want to put their face into the paint. I don't recommend it. But I know the feeling. It looks like it should taste of like chocolate, mint chocolate chip ice cream or something. So I know the feeling, but I wouldn't recommend it. Right, and then my dear husband just made me very quickly a box to keep this stood up, so that I have 2 hands instead of 1 to do the pouring. And I might have to do this off camera, or I can move this slightly to the side, because off camera syringe filling is no fun for you guys. I'm just going to get a little bit of blue tack. Put it in the end, and that's just to stabilize it straight. There we go. Right, I have the camera like here, so it's right in my face. So I don't know how well this is gonna go, but this is feeling a little bit thick. So let's put some more water just to thin it a bit. And what will happen with this is I will fill the pans, and in about a week the paint in the pans would have shrunk, because you know, obviously there's water in here, there was water in it already in the tube, and then I will refill or top up the pans in like a week or two, and then let that dry. So it's gonna take a few weeks for the set to be ready, I'm afraid, but I promise it'll be worth the wait. Yes, I am. You totally should order food in. It's Sunday. I had a late start this morning, and I was like, oh goodness, it's like 9:40 and I'm still in bed. And my husband pointed out that most people don't even have to work on a Sunday, let alone get up early. So I'm like, fair point, fair point. He is full of wisdom, that man. He always brings me back to down to earth when I'm being silly, like not being okay with me having a line till 9:30 on a Sunday. So I'm going quite, just a lot of focus required. I dropped the paint. Question, what is your favorite subject to draw? Abstract, followed by flowers. Question, did you get your Etsy shop running? Right, so here's the thing. I was going to set up the Etsy shop. However, I decided there are some non-handmade stuff I would like to be able to offer you guys. Like the gauze I use for gauzing, because a lot of people seem to not be able to find the right one, and like I certainly couldn't find it in the UK. I had to import it from America, so I would love to be able to offer that. However, on Etsy's term and condition, you can't just resell something, you have to like do something to it. And gauze is a gauze is a gauze. It comes in a packet. There's nothing for me to do, so I won't be able to sell. And so I am thinking, rather than doing an Etsy shop, I will just add them to my online shop on my website at Kano Art. And then I was like, well, then I might as well just sell everything on that website rather than go to Etsy. I will at least, you know, not have to worry about fees from Etsy, certainly, at least then, which means I can offer everything at a little bit better value because no Etsy fee. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I am currently working on some paper sample sets, and then hopefully and then I'll be bringing like sets like this, and maybe some handmade paints if I get to that stage in paint making where I am happy to offer it to you guys. I'm not there yet though. It looks like icing. Yeah, it really does. It is really nice color. It would definitely be flavored mint if this was edible. For sure. And I'm dropping a lot at the moment because I'm talking at the same time. This is why I made a few this morning. So I've made 3 colors this morning just so I can get some practice in. Because I've experienced enough now with live stream to know that I'm just gonna have a drink. Talking and doing at the same time is hard. Nearly there, nearly there. It's a good amount. I'm happy with... Oh, come on, stop dropping. Just as I'm saying I'm happy. Thanks. You do end up talking a lot to your paints when you start like mixing or making your own paints. I don't know if you do that, Eve. Ah, big drop. No, come on. Don't do that. I'll wipe that off in a minute. Almost there, almost there. Goodness, you know I'm going crazy when I start singing. Of course, I just dropped that last drop. Nice one. You should alter the gauze with a paper sleeve around it. Selling. I mean, it's fine. Like because I already have a website with a good selling thing. The only thing that I don't like about my current website is the lack of currency conversion at checkout. So basically, I'm with Squarespace and they're really catered for America and nobody else, which is fine unless you have a non-American shop where you obviously sell stuff with non-American currency and so it can't cope, you know, showing different currencies. My husband have managed to figure out a way of displaying different currencies for each product because he's a website wizard. But now what I'm going to do with this, I've just put this on. I need to shake the paint down so all the air goes to the top, and then I can press this pusher in a bit more, and then that's it for this color. So if you go to my website, you'll see the product prices are in Great British pounds, and then you'll see American, Canadian, and I think Australian prices, which are updated live every day. And that's awesome, but there's just no way of getting the shopping cart at the end to show you how much is in your cart in your currency. However, if you go to PayPal, obviously before you pay for it, PayPal will tell you how much it is going to be, and you'll have a rough idea how much it's going to be anyway, because you'll know how much each product is going to cost. So that's the only reason why I was thinking about going back to Etsy, because they obviously have a better currency conversion. But you know, Etsy have their own rules, which was the reason why I kind of moved on to having my own website in the first place. So yeah, so I am just gonna squeeze the excess air out if this tape comes off. Thank you for spitting into my hand. I'm just gently pressing this whole thing against my body. Woo. Okay, that's it. We're good. Let's clean that up. That's that color done. I'm just going to tape the end again so that you get covered in paint doing this, which is fine. I enjoy it. And that's it. That is compost green number 2. Let's just put water on that and clean it up. And then I'm going to clean everything, which won't take long. And then we can move on to the next one. So yeah, ta-da! We got about 60 milliliters, which is what I wanted. Just going to wipe this clean-ish. Now for all you spray sound fans, there's going to be a lot of spraying coming up. So what have I missed in the chat? You also go through an enormous amount of paper towels as paint makers. When I paint, I try to reuse as much of the kitchen rolls, but when you're making paints, you've got thick paint on there. And yeah, there's no point in recycling that. So my kitchen towel consumption have definitely gone up. Yeah, I understand that you know, there are other people who are violating Etsy policies. I just don't like violating policies if I can help it, and I have my own website, so, and Etsy can shut you down at any point if you are violating any kind of policy. You know, some people get shut down just because they have an assistant. I don't know, don't ask me what happened there, but I have heard that from someone before and stuff. So you don't have control, whereas I have full control on my own website. Oh, I'm really glad you got to see your favorite recreated color. Right, so next one, what colors do we have left? We have the permanent green number 3, which is a big batch, a Mars yellow, or blue grey. Which one would you like to see next? While I have a drink. I mean, of course, as for me as a viewer, it's like live stream is like having friend chat with you while you paint, do the washing up 20 house. Yeah, And I watch a lot of live stream replays. My hand is covered in green. I'm just gonna go wash my hand while you guys vote. Vote away. Hello, I'm back. I no longer look like Lady Hulk. Yellow, yellow, green, yellow, permanent green, yellow, yellow. Okay, Mars yellow. It's a quick one because it is a small batch as well. So Mars yellow, I'm gonna bring this back into view, is yellow ochre 4 parts and light red 1 part. Eve has copied and pasted Etsy's term. Etsy marketplace include handmade items, vintage items and craft supplies. Reselling is only allowed in the vintage and craft supplies category. So yeah, you could still do gauze, I guess, but it's I can see them getting antsy, going, how is gauze art supply? So I'm just gonna do it on my own website. I already have one, so I'm gonna have to guess what 15 milliliter looks like. Say about that much? What do you think? Yeah, yes, this, Paolo says that side, the size of that tube is scary. This is the 60 ml. This is the 15 ml, the standard 15 ml, and this is the 60. And then light red, I'm gonna be quite cautious on that one. And if I haven't made enough, I'll mix some more later. So Eve's saying you can sell gauze as craft supplies if I wanted to. True. But I might as well just put everything, my art and my art supplies, in one. Oh, wow, that looks like honeycomb. Yum, honeycomb. Why am I using this knife? This is much faster. There we go. Paolo says small, medium, large, XL, XXL, XXXL, and scary. So this is the scary. Spray time. Evie's saying she wants to check the Etsy thing because they buy and sell from Etsy and was wondering if they have bought a lot of prohibited items without knowing. No, it wouldn't matter if you did. They won't punish you. They'll just punish the other person, the seller. So you're fine. But yeah, Etsy can shut you down for any reason, and they are known to do that. So that's why I started my own website shop in the first place. So this definitely needs more light red, and I feel like it needs more yellow ochre as well, just for volume. I might make too much, I don't know. Let's try that. It's a very interesting, I would call it orange. So Paolo will probably love this. If you can't guess, it's not my favorite. Yeah, personal website is more pricey and I already have it. And, you know, obviously I pay a fee for that. So it didn't make sense for me to also pay Etsy for fees. Which is why I'm just going to put it in one place. And then I only have one order and shipping system to deal with as well. Rather than having to straddle both my own website's system and Etsy's system. It just gets complicated, and I don't like the way Etsy doesn't allow you to promote your own like websites and stuff. And I would love to be like able to add videos to products in the future, and I can't do that on Etsy, whereas I could on my website if I wish to do so. How are we doing for color? Nowhere near. Okay. Paolo is asking, I'm the only one saying mustard and ketchup. Have I ever mixed mustard and ketchup? I guess it accidentally on like hot dogs and stuff. I don't know, I don't tend to spend a lot of time looking at orange things, personally. Question, what does it cost to ship from Ireland to the US? Depending on what you're shipping. Are you in Ireland and trying to send something to the US? Oh, hi, Mark. Mark says, I see more of a peanut butter and jelly combo. Ooh. That's a nicer combo. However, it's still orange. How are we doing? I'm going to do a sample because this one might dry a lot darker than the wet shade. This might be a really quick one. So I'm going to let this dry. Cuddle Boom says, oh my god, it does look like peanut butter. It's definitely getting there. See? I actually think that's bang on. We'll see how it dries, but I'll mix. Well, we'll wait for that to dry because it's not fully mixed yet. So yeah, apparently I am now making peanut butter. Maybe peanut butter with a tablespoon of chocolate or something? So yeah, how is your Sunday going for those of you who joined after I last asked how everyone's Sunday is going? Is Dan not here today? He must be working then. Working on a Sunday, man. Then again, I am currently working on a Sunday. I don't have days off either. But this is way more pleasurable and nice a job. I was just saying to my husband this morning how much I love this job. Like, I get to make paints, paint with paints, mix paints, make paintings, and talk to you guys. That's my job. Oh, and make dot cards. I just love it. And I designed it on purpose so that it's full of stuff I really enjoy. And of course, yeah, there are tasks that I don't enjoy that I have to do as a business owner, but the bulk of what I do, which is with you guys, is just so much fun. Yeah, that hug symbol is such a sad story. So I don't, if for those of you who don't know, now the early internet kids like me, like putting somebody's name in lots of brackets meant you were giving that person a hug, right? But sadly, in recent years, thanks to some ridiculously vile people who are have a problem with Jewish people, have decided to basically hijack that symbol. And if you Wikipedia it, you'll find out. And I just think it's awfully sad that there are people out there that does that. And also that, something as innocent as a hug symbol is made into something so awful. So what do you guys think? I think it's spot on. Like in real life, it's spot on. Do you think it needs a bit more red? Maybe a bit more red. Just a tiny bit more red. This is definitely going to overflow on my 20 milliliter tubs that I got. And of course, all these like me, not that I call anybody else that uses the parenthesis as a hug oldie, but as in internet oldie, as in people who've been on the internet since like the 90s. We've kind of missed out on the whole controversy, so then people use that in chat rooms still to give people hugs, and then people get upset with them for something that they haven't done. So yeah, but I really do appreciate your hug. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, that looks good. Hey, Linux. Yeah, when I say oldie, I mean internet oldies, as in people who's been around online since like the 90s. And I include myself in that. Not quite sure how I turned into a computer geek when it was in the 90s and I went to an all-girls school. Like, I was the only computer geek at school. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that got a PhD in computer science, certainly around that generation from my school. Like there were like a lot more clever girls. I'm not talking about level of education. I'm talking about the subject. I think this is almost ready. Linux Witch, appropriate to her name, says, I've been online since 1992. I consider myself old. Yep, Eve, I totally get you. She says, and yeah, I'm not sharing the information to be a bummer, but to make sure people are informed and safe from a potentially bad situation. And I think that is the right thing to do. And it's also why she's my mod, because I trust her. Thank you for being my mod, Eve. So did anyone get up to anything nice yesterday? Yesterday I spent the day packing all the goodies for my patrons, which was fun. My husband gave me a hand, and it's always fun to do things, even like business tasks with my husband. So I'm really glad I got to spend the day doing that. And the weather's a bit sucky at the moment in Edinburgh. We've had a glorious spring, early summer so far, but like the last week it's kind of been playing up, so staying indoors was a good option yesterday. You went to a Tupperware party? Like for real? Right, I'm gonna pop this. So I've got loads of these 20ml tubs. I think I might need 2. What is wrong? Oh, okay. We're in. Wow, that was really tight. Sorry about that noise. That was unexpectedly tight. I have to say, pouring paint into jars is incredibly satisfying. Okay, I'm going to fill the second jar as well, because that's definitely not going to fit all in. Oh, congrats for finishing your show, Linux. It's an interesting question as to how long I've been online. I think I was in the 3rd year when my school bought a modem. You know those ones. Some of you may not know what a modem is. Certainly not the dial-up modem that made the squeaky noises. But they bought one of those when I was about 14, I think. So I think that makes it about 93. Yeah, 93. How many years is that? It's a long time. Sorry, I can't calculate that and do this at the same time. I feel like I'm missing out on a knitting talk. Can someone summarize the knitting talk? Because I want to join in when I'm done this. Was it really 25 years ago that wow. Man, I'm getting old. So, like, when I was in my early 30s, I started getting to the point where everything I remember was 10 years ago. My hand is nice and green now. I'm sorry about this. And now I'm nearing my 40s. I'm going to be 40 next year. Things I remember, like, are becoming like 20 years ago instead of 10 years ago. So that's 2 pots of Mars yellow. I think I've got way too much. So yeah, we'll see how it goes with the making the dot cards. So I'm going to clean this up and I'll move on to the next one. Spray. How did I get green there? I washed my hand. It was all clean. I'm so confused right now. 93, so 25 years, yeah. This is orange, right? It's not really yellow, is it? Paolo, if you want, like, do you want the excess of this? Like, if I'm left with way too much Mars yellow, I can send this orange to you. Did anyone else get caught up in that Visa thing that happened on Friday where, like, Visa cards didn't work for like 10 hours? Because I did. It looks really orangey. It is really orangey, Paolo. It's really orangey. So what was the knitting chat that I missed? Himari is saying it's Mars. There's no yellow or anything lighter yellow on that planet. That is true, yeah. If you did live in Mars, this would be probably a yellow. Good point. Ooh, you did a hand knit shawl. Nice, Linux. Nice. I've always wanted to do hand spinning because I love yarn, like fiber art as it is, and it would be awesome to be able to make my own yarn. Did you use like the spindle, or do you have a proper spinner? Right, so that's Mars yellow done, which leaves 2 colors left. Permanent grey number 3 or blue grey. I'm gonna go and wash my hand while you guys pick. Right, have you voted? Green, 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 green. I think you guys want green. Okay, green. So that's a bigger batch, so it's going to take a little while longer to make, so bear with me. It is going to be 5 parts Gumbosh Nova. 1, 2, 3, 2 parts Prussian Blue, and I have a big tube of Prussian Blue as well. My table currently is a chaos. I cleaned my table for this live stream, but it's already turned into a chaos. Hey, Geckonia. Geckonia, I'm sending your Patreon reward tomorrow. I'm sending everybody's Patreon reward tomorrow, by the way. For those of you who signed up to receive something through the post, it is already packed. So, yeah, it's ready to go. Oh, I'm glad you like this shade of green, Paolo. This will be in the recreated Miyazaki half pan set. It's a really nice color, and I'm going to try my best to get that exact shade again, because I don't know how, but I managed it spot on the first time. Humani says, oh, by the way, the original color looks bluer than the recipe states. I don't know, because I've mixed my own PG 3 to seeing that it looks so awesome on your video. What color is that for, Humadi? Oh, nice, Ian, nice. I do have a tube squeezer, but it takes a little bit longer just to squeeze out a small amount. So I will do it for these carcasses later on a separate palette, so that, because I don't like wasting paint, but not for the live stream, just because it's time consuming. Hey Lana, permanent green 3. Oh, for this, so it's a little bit more bluer. Okay, that's difficult to decide. Do we want this color as permanent green 3 or a little bit bluer? That's hard. Because this color is really nice. I really like this color. So I'm going to start off with about that much. I don't know, now I'm looking at it going, oh, that's quite a lot. I might put some aside. Himani says it's ratio about 4.5 to 2.5. Okay, so the fact I put too much. Okay, Himani wants my PG3. So I'm just going to put this over here for now, because I'm not sure if I just put down way too much. Is there, can I say, as an artist, as watercolor artist, a more satisfying thing than mixing paints like this? Look at it. Just look at it. Yes, the Gamboge is a mix of 3 colors. That's why it's called Gamboge Nova. Are there any brands that actually still create the real Gamboge? I don't think there is. So I think they're all hues. The people that say Gamboge for their color, I just haven't put the word hue or new or nova in it. I'm really glad I left that blue out because this is looking pretty green already. Oh no, Eve, no. Oh, why did you have to put, oh man, no. No. Why did you have to put that in? Oh man, I can't touch it now. Oh no, Eve, you've broken me. You've broken me. I can't look at it now. Oh no. Can someone come up with a nicer metaphor, please? I'm just having a nervous breakdown now. I literally cannot look at the paint right now. Someone come up with a better metaphor for this color, please. Please. I have tears in my eyes. Please, someone come up with a better metaphor. I can't do this right now. Okay, thank you. Oh man. Okay, I'm definitely making this blue if that's what this looks. Oh. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, let's add. Okay, I'm gonna test this and see how much blue I can add because I now emotionally spinach and mustard. Thank you, Eve. Spinach and mustard. Avocado mousse. Yeah. So I'm thinking definitely a bit more blue, but not much. We don't want to put too much. So let's go all in. Because that's how you make... Oh, no. No, please don't put caterpillar and millipedes and stuff. Snakes are fine, but please don't put caterpillars. If someone can, like... Just, please don't. I really, really, really don't like them. If you can tell from me freaking out just at the metaphor. Like, seriously, there's very few things I would ban discussing on my channel, on my chat. But if you guys start discussing like caterpillars and millipedes and stuff, I'm just gonna shut the chat room down because I can't handle it. Like seriously, thank you. I seriously can't handle it. I was so yeah, heart to heart time. Oh, I am very too high on the brightness here. So heart to heart time. When I was in junior school in Japan, I was severely bullied. Because in Japan, if you're even slightly different, then you get bullied. I mean, that's true everywhere, but in Japan in particular, they are very much into being the same as everyone else. No, standing up too high or too tall. And I was like the weird kid of the class because, you have to remember this was 90s in Japan where women didn't work full time. Women, housewives were allowed to have like part-time jobs doing like checkout in supermarkets and stuff, but that was it. And that's if your, husband was that liberal. And whereas my mother was a business owner. She ran a business with my dad and wore suits and wore heels all the time and stuff. So the parents, the mothers, took a immediate dislike to her, and obviously the parents tell their kids to not like me because I am the spawn of the she-devil. I don't know. And so I was severely bullied. And one of the things they did was they used to chase me with caterpillars in their hand. And that's why I can't handle it. And I'm just telling you that so because I don't want to come across as I'm just being like, I'm trying to describe it without swearing, but like I'm not being obnoxious by saying like I will close down the chat if like you guys start talking about caterpillars. I have a genuine fear of it, and I wanted to explain to you why that is. More blue? I mean, that was, I mean, to be fair, that, I'm not sure if fair is the right word, but that was like the least harsh bullying I experienced. They did try to kill me once by trying to get me run over at a very, very busy road. So there's that time. And so I didn't have a good time at all at school in Japan. And my mom realized that because like I'm not stereotypical Japanese girl, I was never going to fit in. And that's why she sent me to UK. Because then she knew that I'd be more accepted just as I am, rather than, you know, be told all the time that I don't fit in and be bullied or, you know, be segregated in any way just for being me. So I think that was really awesome with my mom, and it couldn't have been easy to send your child at that age to another country just for her well-being. I think a lot of parents would find that very, very difficult to do. So kudos to her, and I owe her a great childhood because of that. Oh man, I'm like, thank you, you guys. Oh, Hercules. Thank you so much, you guys, for sharing your stories of what you've experienced, and my heart totally goes out to you guys who have experienced similar thing. Like, I know it's just kids with kids, but yeah, it took a really long time to get over that scar. And obviously some things well, I could like get therapy to get over my fear of caterpillars and millipedes and stuff, but it just is, I have other things to deal with. So it's low on my priority right now. Oh, thank you so much, guys, for your support. I really appreciate it. It's awesome now that like I can be myself, and that is like a great thing on the internet, to be different, which is why I chose a career online as well, because I feel way more accepted here. So how are we doing? That's looking pretty close. I'm gonna let that dry. What do you think? That's a nice green now. I know it doesn't look like much of a looker. Let's see if we can get the light better on this to make it look more. Sorry, I'm just gonna fiddle with the levels so that you guys can have a better idea. It's a lot less neutralized. It's a brighter green in real life. Yeah, I agree with you, Lana. It's not okay to bully kids, and yes, they are just kids, but yeah, they need to be taught that it's not okay to bully people. I mean, when my mom decided to send me to the UK, and you know, we told the school, and the school made an announcement, my mother actually got a letter from one of the other mothers saying that what she's doing, like by sending me to UK, is like affecting the other children in the class, and how selfish is she? Not like how selfish are you to be sending her away. It was that it was affecting the other children, and therefore I shouldn't you know, I shouldn't be sent to the UK. I was like, oh, and it was anonymous, but we both knew who it was. We totally both knew who it was. I mean, my mum shielded me from that side, like the parent bullying other parents side of things. I know she got a lot of it as well, but like when she told me when I had, you know, when I was an adult, I just knew exactly whose mother it was that did it. So yeah. So when you have a parent like that, you're gonna get kids that bully. Anyway, later topics. Sorry about that. I just wanted to explain to you guys why I don't, like, why I react so strongly, so that you guys know where I'm coming from when I go, like, can you delete that and stuff, rather than come across as a bit of a... I'm finding it really hard to put a name to it without swearing, but you know what I mean. And I think a lot of people got bullied. So, doesn't make your pain any easier to go through though. So how are we doing with this green? It's almost dry. What do you think? Pretty good? I think that's bang on. I'm just going to try it again. Yeah, that's bang on. Thank you. So yeah, like caterpillars, millipedes, they are on my chat room's ban list, including emoticons. I'm sorry the light balances keep going off. Weather is very changeable in Scotland, as I've said before. There we go. Stop getting sunnier. Okay, I think this is done. I am going to put this in a syringe. Oh, now the sun goes down. Thanks. Yes, kittens and hamsters. Just in a funny mood the last couple of days. So I'm just sealing the top of the syringe so that it doesn't all fall out. Kittens and hamsters in the same room. Yeah, probably not good for being in the same room. Okay, so let's do this. Right, this is where I go quiet, because it's actually quite hard to talk and pour at the same time. This is a really nice shade of green. Don't know if it's coming across it in the camera, but I can see why Miyazaki Kantoku likes this. By the way, if you haven't heard of who Miyazaki Kantoku is, he is Miyazaki Hayao Kantoku, and he owns Ghibli studio that made like My Neighbor Totoro and stuff, and he is just a national treasure. I wonder if he must be a national. He might not be. We do actually have a system in Japan where we make people national treasures if they have like particular skills and stuff and they're famous and stuff. We will actually make them national treasures, and that's actually your title. I think they call it human national treasure. We call it Ningen Kokuho. Ningen is human, and Koku is country or national, and Ho is another way of pronouncing Takara, which is treasure. So you get a little bit of Japanese lesson with your paint mixing porn. I am making a right mess here. No, stop dribbling everywhere. Okay, you are getting sorted. There we go. And he is awesome. If you're like an illustrator or animator, then obviously you would know a lot more about him than I do. My reference point is that I grew up watching all his films. I remember going to see Kiki's Delivery at the cinema, and Howl's Moving Castle with my mom, and Ponyo with my mom. She seems to be quite into it as well, which is weird because she doesn't usually like films. So if like there's a new Ghibli, certainly a Miyazaki Kantoku made one, then we have gone to see it, like if I'm in the country. Goodness, I'm making... No, don't drip onto... Oh, you did. Oh, no, you dripped onto the mat. Gee, thanks. That's going to be a nightmare to clean. Sorry, a blob of paint have leaked onto the non-slip mat. And the non-slip mat is like a mesh, which means getting paint out of that is actually quite hard. I'm so glad this is the last syringe I have to fill, because clearly I'm not good at it. Okay, so that is it. I'm just gonna wipe this clean. Hello guys, hello, I am back and I can read chats and stuff. Yes, human national treasure is a thing. We have objects national treasure as well, but we're also national treasure people as well. So I'm just going to leave this like this and trying to clean up this mesh first before it gets too dirty, like too ingrained. So what was you guys' first Ghibli films you saw? Can't remember what my first one was. It must be My Neighbor Totoro. It's so weird because I grew up with nobody, like, you know, over here knowing what Ghibli films were. And then, like, so it was really hard to get hold of, like, copies of the DVDs and stuff over here. And then all of a sudden it became really popular and it was everywhere. Thank you so much for coming to the live stream, Linux. I hope you have a great fun. This is Holbein cat. That's okay. You don't have to be a fan of Ghibli. It just, like, for me, it's just what I grew up with. And it's nice that a lot of people love Ghibli films now. And that, you know, a lot of people now know what a cat bus is. Because I think cat bus is awesome. I also think Makuro Korosuke is awesome. Is there like a British name given to Makuro Korosuke? It's the black dust thing that shows up in My Neighbor Totoro, and then I think it shows up again in Mononoke Hime. Right, one more card to go, you guys, and this one is a smaller batch. Oh no, I still have to deal with I forgot I still had. Oh, it could have been Nausicaa, yeah. Which came first? No, I tell a lie. I'm terribly sorry. The first certainly Miyazaki Kantoku film I saw was Lupin Sansei Castello? No, hang on. I'm just trying to remember. You know the film Lupin that he directed. That would have been my first Miyazaki Hayao film I saw, because I was a huge Lupin Sansei fan. Has anyone else ever heard of Lupin? So I'm just shaking the paint down so I can send all the bubbles to up here and squeeze all the bubbles out. It's gone dark again, hasn't it? There we go. Okay, we're good. So all the air's pushed out. And then just sealing the tip again so the paint doesn't dry. So that is, what is this? Permanent green number 3. Right, on to the last color. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking by while I made all these colors. It has been awesome. So the final color is blue-gray. Although I think there's no real gray in it. It's just cobalt blue hue with Chinese white, so it's just a pale blue. I don't know why it's called cobalt blue hue, but there we go. So it is 4 parts cobalt blue hue to 6 part Chinese white. Not quite sure why I didn't put 2 parts cobalt blue hue with 3 parts Chinese white, but there you go. So it's, I'm going to use all of the Chinese white and then add cobalt blue hue in. Bye, Paolo. Lana's asking, what are you going to do with these colors? So with the 4 colors that I've made syringes of, I am going to fill these tins that have 4 pans. So these 3 were the retired Miyazaki Hayao colors. So I wanted to make a set of them so you guys can have a try of like half pans. And then I threw it in the compost green number 2 in with it because it was such a nice color as well. So that's what the big syringes are for. Now on top of this, I also made the other 3 of the 7 retired colors, and those I am going to make into a 7 color dot card, and they will be available as Patreon reward for this month. So if you are a Patreon already, or if you sign up to Patreon by the 30th of May on the $25 or more tiers, then you will get the 7 colors dot card of the all 7 retired Holbein colors this month through your post. You also get a lot of other things as well, like mini paintings and stuff. So that's why I'm making so much of it. I just wanted to be able to offer these mixes to you guys without having to need to go out and get the various colors. Like if you just want to give it a go for a little bit, you don't want to end up buying 2 Holbein colors, right? Like if you're not sure about Holbein. So I'm going to start off with about that much and see how we go. How pretty is that? Oh, thank you, Gekarina. She's saying that I'm generous with the perks. Thank you. I just want you guys to get your money's worth. And who doesn't love receiving things in the post? And my dot cards, because I hate dot cards that are tiny with like, you know, like Dino Smith dot cards where there's like a speck of paint and you do a small swatch sheet and then the paint's gone. That's not really enough to get to know the colors at all, really. You know, you want to be able to mix with other colors that you have on your palette and stuff. I definitely need more blue and stuff. So like all my dot cards have a big dollop of color or paint on each dot rather than teeny tiny scrapes of paint. Because otherwise, what's the point, you know, of a dot card if you don't actually get to really know those colors? Because, you know, when you only get to do a little swatch, you know, like a little swatch, then you're not really getting the full effect and figuring out whether it's going to work for you or not. Yeah, the water's fine. It's distilled water, so there's nothing. It's pure water. I think we're gonna need more blue. And I don't see the point in offering you guys tools for your art that doesn't actually serve the function, just on the sake of saving money, like on my part. I'd rather give you guys plenty so that you guys actually get to do what you bought the tool for, which is get to know the colors, right? So yeah, I am very passionate about the size of my dots. That may be a silly thing to get passionate about. Hey Zoe! There already is a studio tour. It's on my Patreon. So anyone who's my patron can watch that tour video where I go through my studio space. Thank you, Eve, for putting the link up. So I think we're getting reasonably close, but definitely more blue. Thank you for the love, Gekarina. I really appreciate all your support. She is one of my patrons, and says Eve. I really, I'm so grateful that so many of you have wanted to support this channel, because it just makes a lot of more interesting thing happen for this channel, because it means I can have a budget for making videos, which is great, because like we are launching the Daniel Color, what am I talking about? I need some sugar, hold on. There, that's better. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Daniel Smith's Color Showdown season 2 is happening now, all purely thanks to my patrons. They hit the goal for rebooting, or starting the season 2, and what it basically means is that they've funded the paints for the videos. It allows me to afford to buy whatever color people want testing, and during season 1 I got a lot of requests for the really expensive colors, like the Kingman turquoise genuine and stuff, which are like £25 per tube over here, and I can't, and that was just one of the colors, and obviously I can't afford to do that. So I wasn't able to make all the comparison videos that people wanted, whereas now with patrons' help, we can just test any color from Holbein, from Daniel Smith. I'm thinking I'm gonna do a little strip. Question, is this PW4 or PW6 in the mix? It is PW6 in the Chinese white. Oh, Gekaina, thank you for watching the season 1 multiple times. I am so happy that season 1 has been so useful. So yeah, I very much appreciate all my patrons and their support, because this channel wouldn't have as good a content that can cater to your needs as much without their help. So thank you, my dear patrons. What is my favorite color in Holbein set? I don't really know this set very well. I know that I don't really agree with the introductory set. If you've seen my was it a live stream on why the introductory set isn't the best range of colors? No, definitely needs more blue. I'm ending up using a lot more blue than I thought I would. This is more like a 1-to-1 ratio. Thank you so much for coming to the live stream, Gekarina, and thank you for the love. Oh, thank you so much for staying up so late, Deli. I just want to get the shade, the hue right before I spend time mixing it all. I might try that because this color does color shift a bit, so it's a lot darker. Well, not a lot darker, but it's definitely slightly darker once it dries. So we'll just leave it at that and carry on mixing until that swatch dries. What's really expensive? Zoe said they just ordered the full DS dot card because the tubes are so expensive. Yeah, I mean, dot cards are a great idea because you do get the sample, but to me it's such a small sample and it's not really enough, especially when the particular color is really expensive. It's not really enough for you to be able to make an informed decision on which color you should go for. And I don't know if they're counting on that you buy more or what, but I just don't agree with it personally, and so I want to make sure you guys get to play with plenty of paint. Eve saying white paints get so much more transparent as they dry. I agree with you. So yeah, any paint that has white in it will color shift a lot more than paints that don't have white. Cat is asking, that's a lot of paint. How can you maintain and avoid mold? Because they're staying in the jars and syringes for a very short amount of time. Tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to make the dot cards where all the little jars will get used up, and I will fill the half pans with the paints that are in the syringes, and the syringe is airtight, so yeah, it's not really a problem. Oh, thank you very much, Zoe. I'm really glad you like the dot cards. I already packed my my brain's gone. Peroline dot card for my patrons, and that's going out in the post tomorrow if you've signed up for that, as well as all the mini paintings. yeah, I mean, paints can get really expensive, and you just want to be able to make sure that you're, you know, getting the color that's right for you. And that's really hard to do on a small sample, I find. So like I did get the Daniel Smith full dot card. By the way, there's a few colors missing from that. And you know, I painted little swatches, but I was still kind of confused at the end as to the difference between some of the colors. Like I was like, what's the difference between like this lunar blue and something else? And bye Fiona, thank you so much for coming to the stream. And that's why I started the Daniel Smith Color Showdown, because I thought, well, I can't be the only one that is confused as to what the difference between some of these colors are, particularly for Daniel Smith, because they have such a huge range of colors. I think they have like 240. Some of the colors are going to end up looking pretty similar. And yeah, so that's how I started the Daniel Smith Color Showdown. This one I'm finding doesn't mix, like I can see unevenness a lot more easily. So I'm just going to make sure it's all well mixed. How's this? See, this dries so much darker. Cobalt out says, I just upgraded my support on Patreon. Thank you for this neat Miyazaki dots idea. Looking forward to see the abstracts painting too. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing that, and I'm really glad that I can offer you something that you want to receive. I say that's pretty bang on, don't you? Oh, thank you, Cobalt. You made my day. And also, don't forget with the mold thing. This was in a tube, you know, that Holbein made. So I would think that they would also put something that stops mold from growing in their tube as well. And Holbein doesn't put honey in, which helps a lot. Like any watercolors that have a little bit of honey in, it's sugar. And I know honey itself is antibacterial, but depending on the paint, really depending on the paint, can sometimes cause problem. Obviously, you know, all the paints that people make and stuff, they would have tested all that, so you don't have to worry about it if you're purchasing, you know, from a good paint maker like Eve or Dan, but or you know, professional companies, you don't have to worry about that. But if you're making your own, you kind of just have to be aware of what you're putting in. Yeah, DS doesn't have honey in. Sinelia has honey in. M. Graham has honey in. Who else has honey that are big names? I think that's it. Not many people do. And I personally avoid paints with honey for making the dot cards with. And that's got nothing to do with mold or anything, because professional paints, professionally made paints, whether it's handmade or not, shouldn't mold anyway. But the reason why I avoid honey based paints for my dot cards is because they never set and they stay sticky forever, which does not make for a neat dot card to post to you guys. So I won't be offering any like Sinelia or M. Graham dot cards on my Patreon, just because from experience, because I did try making Sinelia dot cards and that was chaos. Eve can attest to that because I sent her one, and it's just not pretty. So I think this is well mixed through, and I think I like the color that it dries to. Yeah, and like of course you can just always put your wet paint in a pan or container and let it dry. Then you won't have a problem of it going mold. If you want to be double careful. So I am, oh no, I can still see unevenness. What is going on with this color? Yeah, so like Snelliers and M. Grahams are gorgeous colors, and you should totally try it. You don't have to worry about mold just because they've got honey, because it's a professionally made thing. Don't worry about it. Like, please don't start going, oh, it's got honey in it, it's gonna mold. That's not the case. I am purely talking about how, as paint makers, we have to be aware of putting honey in. And like, there's nothing to worry about paints and honey if you're just going to put it in a pan and let it dry. It's only if you put it into tubes, and if like maybe the paint reacts with the tube, then you might have problem. But you, like, as a consumer, you never ever have to worry about that, so don't worry about it. I don't want you guys to start, you know, being turned off honey-based paints at all. Honey-based paints are beautiful. I have Sennelier, I have M. Graham. They re-wet really well. I think Eve puts honey in yours, don't you? And so does Dan, and I love their colors. Love their colors. I really do. So please do not be put off by honey. It was just on the question of mold, and I am digging now because I'm like, I really wish I never mentioned the honey thing, because it's really like for such minor cases that 99% of people do not have to worry about. So yeah. I mean, Eve's paint and Dan's paints re-wet so beautifully. I love their paints. Okay, I think this is done. I'm gonna jar it up. And that's it. So if you have any questions, ask away in a bit. Actually, don't ask away right now because I can't look at the screen while I do this. But certainly in a bit, once I am done, then I can take your questions. Yeah, if you haven't tried Eve's or Dan's, by the way, because he's not here, Dan is Dan from Penholder Art, and Eve and Dan both make beautiful handmade paints, and I love both their paints a lot. Eve, do you have any paints on sale at the moment, or have you sold out again? Both their paints sell out so fast. So you should, if you want them, you should really follow them on their social media, so you get updated when they put new colors on, and buy it immediately. Like, don't go, oh, I'll just like think about it for a couple of days and then buy it, because it'll be gone, because their paints are so popular, and for a really good reason. It's beautiful. Eve, can you put the link to your Etsy store, please? So people can at least bookmark it. And maybe your social media? And Dan's store, if you can get to it. Sorry, I'm using you today a lot. Sub the love, guys. Sub the love. Hashtag. I had a comment this week on my last live stream that asked, who is Eve? Which just blew me away, because I thought everyone who knows my channel knows Eve. But in case you don't know who Eve is, she's my mod, but more than that, she is an awesome YouTube content creator. And she, if you ever wanted to know any like reviews on like pretty much any art product, like watercolor certainly, she probably has a review already. Like the number of times I've gone, hey Eve, have you tried this? And she's like, yeah, I made a video. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. So I can't randomly send her stuff, like art stuff, because she's pretty much had them. So if you ever wanted to see a review on any paint related stuff, then I highly recommend you check her out. She also does paint making on live stream sometimes, and she also does live streams on Saturday called Catterday live stream, which is a lot of fun, and a lot of you that are here already watch it. It's just like a really nice chilled group of people in the chat, which is always nice. And so yeah, they will both like tell you on their social media when they have put up new paints. So it is totally worth following them. Go me, I'm like plugging Dan when he's not even here. You better watch this. Aww, Eve says she's a lobster now. Aww, she is so shy. She's very easy to break. It's quite funny. Heather's aim in every there's another user called Heather, and in all the live streams, her job is to somehow break Eve. And we only like breaking Eve, not because we're mean, but because she's so cute when she breaks. So yes, okay, so now that that is done and I've jarred everything, while I clean up, if you have any questions, anything at all, it can be about this or anything else that you're wondering about Holbein, or just random questions, I am happy to answer them. Oh, and if you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, like if I'm doing an impromptu live stream or if I'm putting new things up in my shop, then also follow my Twitter. I am most active on Twitter. I'm sure Eve can pull up a link for you. Any tips for watercolor artists? Wow, that is a really broad question. Can you narrow it down, like particularly on what? Yeah, I do have a great tip for all watercolor artists: paint more, and paint some more, because you can read and watch and stuff, but until you do it, you don't really have it in your body, and you kind of, whatever skill it is that is physical, you need to put it into your body, your body's memory. Hi Anthony. Like the way you blend them. Blend what? Yeah, I know people tend to forget Twitters now, but I just find it easier to do announcements on there rather than Instagram, because on Instagram I have to like make this like perfect picture to put up to make announcements and things, and my life is not like really pretty Instagram lifestyle, so yeah. Oh, Stephen, you missed basically all the stream because I'm just taking in my final questions. But it's okay because this was just an impromptu one. that I just decided this morning to do when I was mixing paints. Not making paints, not like mulling paints, but just mixing colors. And what I did, for those of you guys that just missed it, so that you can decide whether to watch this stream on playback or not, is I made the retired Holbein colors, all 7 of them. They were retired back in 2011. And I made big batches of them, so like big batches of, so 3 colors are what I call the Miyazaki colors, and that is because it was so Miyazaki Kantoku of Ghibli Studio once, you know, showed what palette, what colors he has on his watercolor palette, and it's all Holbein colors, so they kind of now get called Miyazaki colors, or maybe that's me. And 3 of them were retired, so I recreated that, plus another color that is just so pretty. And what I'm going to do with those 4 is fill up half pans and put them in these tins and offer it to you guys over on my shop as a set. And then I also made smaller jars of the other 3 retired colors, so that I can make a dot card with all 7 of them as this month's reward for patrons. That's the quick recap of what we did in this stream. Yeah, it's a lot of greens. Any question? Any idea how to clean the brush properly after you use one color and need a clean brush for another? I have 2 jars of water, so I always have 2 jars of water. So you have 1 jar for dirty water, and then you keep 1 jar of clean water, and that way you can get all the paint off in the dirty jar. And then, you know, make sure you, oh sorry, I hit the, literally the camera is about that far away from my hand right now. You know, make sure you swirl it really well. Maybe even wipe it off on a piece of towel or kitchen towel so that you can see that all the paint's gone, and then use the clean water for any water that is actually going onto the painting. That's one way to make sure that you don't get, you know, dirty colors mixed into your work. Woo! Sorry, I just hit a glass of water with my jar of water. Any other questions? Okay, so since there are no other questions. Oh yeah, and Eve says to make sure you use a large enough jars with plenty of water in them. That is also a really good tip. You can also get like a brush cleaning, like how do I describe this? It's like this uneven surface thing, or ring of coil and stuff that you can put at in the bottom of your water, so that your brush has something to brush up against. But I've never experienced any need for having that. I've always managed to get my brush clean with just a big jug of water, and I use pretty staining colors as well. Valerie's asking, would it be easier to put paint on flexible mat if you don't have a syringe? What is a flexible mat, please? paint are you using, Himari? Because one of the reasons I really like watercolors is because it comes out of the brush. So is it maybe it's the brush as well? Have you tried it? Like, do you have that problem with other brushes? Thank you so much, you guys, for coming to this stream who are now leaving. I really, really appreciate you guys being here. I'm just going to finish up off this question and then go myself. So do you have the same problem with lots of different brushes? Valerie is saying silicone baking mat. I'm still confused. So the reason why I'm using the syringe is to keep the paint fresh in a way that is easy for me to then pour into a pan with minimal waste. I could use a jar like here to store the paint, and that is both as good as each other for keeping the paint fresh, and I need it fresh so that I can pour into pans and dot cast like this week. But if you pour it on out and leave it out in the open, it doesn't matter what you pour it on, it's going to dry. Does that make sense? Stacy is saying a great point about cleaning brushes. She says, make sure brush is completely saturated, then dab the excess water off before you put in paint. If your brush hasn't been thoroughly pre-wet, it will wick paint into the furrow. That's really good to know. So yeah, I think that's it for this live stream. Thank you so much for coming to this super duper impromptu live stream instead of tomorrow's video. I really appreciate you guys just coming together and watching me mix paint. I hope it was relaxing and fun for you guys. Special thank you to Eve, as always, for being an awesome moderator. And I will see you guys very soon.